Two world leaders spent the day in an escalating war of words. President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin raising the heat over the question of Ukraine. Today, Russia warning the United States to back off the threat of tough new sanctions. So what is Putin's next move, and what is happening behind the scenes at the White House tonight? ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl has been talking to his sources and starts us off right now.
Behind a smiling Vladimir Putin today in Sochi at the opening ceremonies of the Paralympic Games, reports from Ukraine. His forces stormed an airbase, his grip tightening on his prize, Crimea. Russia, ignoring pleas to halt its invasion, warned America to back off, saying hasty, poor thought-out steps, including sanctions, would, quote, boomerang against the U.S. itself. President Obama's latest hour-long call to Putin achieved little. Putin may have Obama in a bind, not just on this crisis in Ukraine, but on the biggest foreign policy challenges facing the president, including the bloody civil war in Syria and the rush to stop a rising nuclear Iran. In those cases, Putin is a central player, capable of helping or hurting America. Obama is seeking sanctions for those responsible for Russia's military incursion into Ukraine, but the White House refuses to say whether Putin himself will be targeted.
It's not like there's rogue operators in Russia that are doing this. So it sounds to me like you're describing actions that would be taken against President Putin.
What I am in fact saying is that the executive order does not name individuals or entities.
Do you think Vladimir Putin is responsible for what is going on in Crimea right now?
Russia is obviously responsible for its military forces.
In fact, one senior U.S. official told ABC News Putin himself will likely not be targeted. President Obama has long worked to improve relations with Putin, but all too often he's been met with cold resistance, vividly on display when the two meet. Just today, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel asked to see a Pentagon study on trying to read Putin's body language. Its author has said Putin's walking style may provide insight into how he operates. Putin's movement style shows a man struggling to move forward, she wrote, a weakness he compensates for by a dramatic need for internal control, which he seeks through external display of power.
U.S. officials believe there are now 20,000 Russian troops on the ground in Crimea, and that number is holding steady. The Russians are dug in, Diane, and they are not backing down.
All right, thanks to Jonathan Karl.